So the entry list for the men at the Australian Open has been released, and it's going to be really interesting to see who is actually going to be seeded. Of course, we don't know that until the week before the Australian Open officially, but there are some really dangerous unseeded players that we do have to look out for. Let's have a see who they are. So let's have a look at the top 32 seeds for now. Now, this obviously could change over the next couple of weeks because the seeds aren't locked in until the week before the Australian Open. But at the moment, we've got Sinner, Zverev, Alcaraz, and Fritz as the top 4 guys at the Australian Open. Medvedev, Ruud, Djokovic, and Rublev round out the top 8. So if that does remain the same, it could be Sinner, Alcaraz, Medvedev, Djokovic in the same half of the draw for the Australian Open, which would be crazy to see. Some of the other lower ranked players that are possibly going to be seeded, you got Pirikar, who of course made waves at the end of 2024. Popperin, who played really well against Djokovic at the Slams last year. Hurkacz, who'll be at 16 in the world, but that obviously could change as well. Draper, another one who's sort of in that 15 or top 15 range. But let's go look at the players that are unseeded because that's the dangerous side. So Berrettini, he's number 34 in the world at the moment. Could get into the seeds if he does have a good week in the first week of the season, but at the moment, very dangerous unseeded player. Gael Monfils, obviously a very dangerous player, even though he is 38 years old. Still, nobody wants to play him in a first round, especially Carlos Alcaraz, who has struggled with him in the past. Shapovalov, another guy that is very dangerous and unseeded. Kokkinakis, he will be very dangerous, especially at home in Australia. He has pushed some of the best players in the world to 5 sets in Australia before, so definitely got to watch out for him. Van der Zandschulp, of course, beating Alcaraz last year at the US Open. Definitely a dangerous unseeded player. And of course, Nick Kyrgios, coming back for the first time in forever. He will be unseeded, even though he's coming in with a protected ranking. That doesn't allow him to be seeded. Nobody wants to play him in the first round, especially Jannik Sinner, after all the things that Kyrgios has said about Sinner over the last 6 months or so. So there it is. That is the entry list, of course. Like I said earlier, it's a provisional seedings, I guess, for those top players. You can probably be safe to say that the top maybe 4 guys are probably where they're going to be. I mean, they're probably going to be the top 4 seeds at the Australian Open. But again, things can change in the first weeks of the year and points can be changed. So we'll see what happens. But let me know down in the comments below. Who's the most dangerous unseeded player for you? Because there are some really scary potential first round matches for the top guys with those unseeded players, those dangerous unseeded players. Of course, like I said, they could change. If someone who's 50 in the world has a really good week in the first round or the first week of the season, they could elevate themselves to be seeded as maybe like a 30th seed, which means they avoid those top guys in the first rounds. But there it is. Entry list for the Australian Open starts in January.